Well, hello, Midland Christian family, and welcome into the studio. I'm excited to be joined by Dr. Anderson this morning. Dr. Anderson, welcome into the studio, and as our first guest here on the podcast, first guest here in the studio, what are your first thoughts on this new space and this new opportunity?
Thank you very much, Trent. I'm really excited to be able to be in these conversations. Really, this was born out of some direct feedback that we received from the Parent Advisory Council, just on the importance of good communication and making sure that folks know what's happening at Midland Christian School, and not just what's happening, but why it's happening. And as we kind of look back and see where we are and think about where we're going. So yeah, I'm really excited about getting the ball rolling with these monthly touchpoint conversations.
Yeah, it's going to be a great chance to sit down regularly and just kind of talk what's going on here on campus. And speaking of goings on here at Midland Christian School over the summer, students are at home getting some well-earned rest. But if you come onto campus today, you see a lot of people moving around. What are some of the exciting things that are going on as students prepare to come back to class in the fall?
Yeah, I'm excited to see kind of the look on the students' faces when they drive onto campus in the first place. We resurfaced the parking lots and restriped the parking lots, and so it looks really, really great outside. Our landscaping crew's done an amazing job getting the campus ready to welcome the students back. We've renovated some locker rooms. We've renovated the field house. So I think we're just going to be walking all of us back into a very welcoming space, a God-honoring space, in some ways a very practical space, So I think it's kind of hitting all the bases when you think about some of the refreshment that we've done and updating and renovation that we've done. Kind of touches all senses as well. The building even smells great right now, with all the cleaning and the floors that are freshly waxed and that sort of thing. So it's been a really busy summer, but man, I've seen so many smiles on so many faces, and folks who are coming by are encouraged. And I don't know, it just feels like we're in a really, really good spot as we prep for the 2024-2025 school year.
Talking about some of those updates, some of those additions to the campus, a number of those projects were funded by the annual fund. So talk us through kind of how the annual fund began, maybe some of the history of the annual fund moving in that direction, and what are some of the projects that we're now kind of seeing the fruit of as we move into this next school year.
Yeah, absolutely. So the annual fund actually began during Kelly Moore's tenure. So just before I got here, Mr. Moore was our interim. If I remember correctly, the decision was made to no longer sell magazines. And I think that was met with quite a bit of enthusiasm, actually, that transition. And so going back even to magazine sales, though, that morphed into the annual fund, tuition covers, it's right at 90% of the school's expenses, the school's overall budget. And so we really need that 10% to kind of help bridge the gap. So it's fairly simple math. The school basically has a $15 million annual budget. So 10% of that is $1.5 million. So when you think about the auction and the Mustang Run and the annual fund, that's basically where we were this past year. And so, praise the Lord for that, because that really looks like it's going to mitigate massive tuition increases moving forward. So we're excited about that. We want to keep tuition affordable, of course, and the Lord is opening some great doors, not just on donations to the annual fund, but even growing sponsorships. Looking at grants and that sort of thing, and I'll say some more about that a little bit later. But wow, just trying to keep up with inflation. I don't know about you. My car insurance doubled this past year, and I didn't even have a claim. So I think a lot of folks are experiencing that same thing in their personal budgets. Well, the school is no exception. Everything from food to insurance, it just seems like it's kind of a list that's hard to exhaust on what it costs just to keep the school going. During year one of the annual fund, our generous donors contributed over $600,000 to the annual fund drive. And in addition to the annual fund and through the auction, Mustang Run, donors contributed a little over an additional $400,000. So in year two, we decided to roll all giving under one overarching umbrella and set a goal of $1.25 million. Via the annual fund, the auction, the Mustang Run. And wow, was it successful. We actually raised a little over $1.4 million. And so we again are so thankful to our donors, thankful to the Lord. We were able, through those dollars, to increase our security infrastructure. We purchased some curriculum. We upgraded IT resources. We had some great sponsorship gifts that came along through the work of our security council. For example, they were able to secure some funding for our 3M safety film that went over lots of glass throughout the facility. We added some fencing. We added some gates, some new security cameras that we were able to purchase through a grant that we received as, again, part of our overall annual fund. Wow, field house renovations. Again, I think when folks just walk in this fall and see it for the first time, they're going to be blown away. And it doesn't just touch the football team. Multiple teams utilize that space. Elementary student desks, chairs. We purchased some supplies for robotics. We purchased some new iPads for first grade and second grade. Campus ministry benefited from the annual fund last year. Everything from guest speakers to campus-wide events, Bibles for our incoming sixth graders, Protect Young Eyes. Man, I could just go on and on and on about how many students' lives were impacted by the generosity of our parents and our grandparents and so many people who love Midland Christian School. It's a little bit interesting that, we tried to roll everything into one overarching umbrella last year. The hope was to make it a little simpler to understand, but ironically, it actually became a little more complicated. And so as we plan for this next year's annual fund, we want to go back to just saying, hey, here's where your annual fund dollars are going. And so we're going to simplify everyone's understanding of that and our messaging on that, knowing that the Mustang Run and the auction, that those dollars will just go exclusively to closing that budget gap. But we are really excited about funding campus ministry first and foremost, giving our students an opportunity to participate in Missions Week, again, Bibles for our sixth graders that they'll be able to have as their personal Bible throughout their entire MCS secondary journey, providing some training for our faculty and staff, again, hosting some speakers to come to our campus. We're going to continue to upgrade campus security and primarily focusing on replacing some antiquated equipment. And so we have some first responder equipment that we would like to upgrade, particularly related to our fire alarms, tying all of our facilities together in one alarm system. And so, as you can imagine, that's fairly expensive this day and time because it doesn't just include the infrastructure, it also includes monitoring. Something we're extremely excited about as we plan for the 2024-2025 annual fund is launching what we're calling a teacher sustainability fund. And, we want to be able to compete with salaries, and we want to be able to compete with benefits, and we want to recruit the very best of the best to be part of what we're doing here as we, help our children live for God and love like Jesus and learn for life. And so aligning our heads and hearts with the heads and hearts of people who also embrace that vision. Really excited about our parents being able to help us and our supporters help us get the teachers here who are going to make a profound difference. We also are upgrading our playground. If you've been on the playground recently, man, it's an amazing space. And I don't know how many times during the school year I walk by, and the joy that just, comes from the playground is just so awesome to see and watch. But as with any type of equipment that you buy, there comes a time in that equipment's lifespan when it starts to deteriorate, and the sun in Midland can be a little aggressive, and the wind can be a little aggressive. So it's time to upgrade our playground. That's going to cost a little over $250,000 to do that. We're going to lean into our grandparents quite a bit on Grandparents' Day and see if that's something they would be willing to really partner with us on. But we want to make that part of our annual fund for this next school year. And just so cool how the Lord works. We've already found a local congregation that we're going to be able to repurpose a large portion of the old playground equipment. And so it's just really neat, that the kingdom is going to benefit as a result of that play space being repurposed in another context. One of the things we're really excited about, because there is a cost for this on the front end, but it ultimately becomes a fantastic revenue generator for the school over time, and we are going to replace the scoreboard at Autry Field. But it allows us to really go to the next level with some digital advertising. We've already secured some sponsors who are coming on board to help us fund that project. But we are hopeful that as the revenue from that project grows, that again, it positively impacts our overall budget, and particularly athletics. Even fine arts will benefit from the scoreboard. One of the things that Coach Ryburn wanted to make sure of is that when the band is performing at halftime, if there's that halftime sponsor that can come alongside us, that band will reap the benefit of that new scoreboard as well. You're going to notice some new signage when you drive on campus this fall. We're very excited about that, just to help folks navigate the campus. And we want to be very friendly and inviting to guests and vendors and even our new families who are coming to MCS for the first time. We're going to be focusing on some theater stage lighting, and Mr. Broom wants to purchase a new clarinet. And, some folks may think, well, that's kind of an odd thing. But, if we have a student that can master an instrument like that, man, the potential for a full ride scholarship somewhere, who knows, right? And so that opens the door just for, again, some not only blessing the individual student, but expanding the repertoire of our students as they grow in their fine arts abilities, and then what that may mean, the ripple effect of that long-term for that student. Some risers for the musical. Wow, if you were here last year for Little Women, my goodness, what an amazing production that was. And even 2 years ago, James and the Giant Peach. I mean, it's just so incredible what our theater department is able to do on kind of a shoestring budget, And so we want to expand that the best we can this year and really, really help that grow. Even as our student body grows. And so those are several items that we'll be focusing on as we prepare for this next year. We will be introducing a packet that will allow everybody to see much more, a lot more specifics about how some of these dollars are going to be allocated. But we are looking at approximately $750,000. That's our goal for our annual fund this year. And so between that and the Mustang Run and the auction, and then just who knows what other doors God's going to open to bless Midland Christian School. We believe it's going to be one of the best fundraising years in the school's history. So one of the things that we're obviously very excited about is the purchase of the new land, the 42 acres at the northwest corner of Garfield and Mockingbird. The annual fund is not tied to that purchase. But we will be sending out some information as we get a little deeper into the school year about how individuals and or families and or corporations can partner with us in that context. We'll save that conversation for a future podcast, but I do want folks to know that the annual fund itself is not tied to that particular project.
A lot of exciting updates and possibilities, and just already the work that the annual fund has done, that God has done through the annual fund here on campus, and we're seeing that right now. I know when you start to talk about, bringing in people like Protect Young Eyes, these events that campus ministry is able to do, you talk about a video board at the football stadium, a lot of things that are seen, and so many things that are unseen that just keep the school moving. And so it's great to kind of understand and see where those funds go and how that operates. I know that my ears perked up when you started talking about a new playground.
Right.
And I'll go, and if there's a way for me to donate somewhere where we can get maybe a bench somewhere where parents can sit. I know I've spent some time out there on the turf, as many of you have.
Right.
Under the shade watching our kids play, but just a great space. I know our kids are always begging us to go up to the school and play on the playground, and we've been so grateful for that space. So for people who maybe are interested in coming alongside the school, or maybe they've heard about a project or see something that they want to be a part of, how do they walk alongside Midland Christian School and as part of the annual fund?
I so appreciate that question, especially the way you framed it with just walking alongside. When the school was founded 67 years ago, I'm not really sure who chose Mustangs as the mascot, but I'm really glad that they did. A lot of people may not know this, but wild Mustangs, they actually, their coats display wide range of colors. Actually, it's like if I remember correctly, all the colors of horses, kind of across the spectrum, the equine spectrum. But some Mustangs have patches, and some have spots, and some have stripes on their coats. And so the variety is stunning. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. And I think it's just a reflection of God's creation. And it's also a reflection of the MCS family. But there's one primary reason I'm really glad that we're called the Mustangs, and it's embedded in the word Mustangs, and it's the pronoun us. And so that realization just kind of jumped out at me a few months ago as I was reflecting on the countless people who have been part of MCS, who are part of MCS, and who ultimately will be. And we're in this together. And that's what it takes to be an organization that honors God and really makes a difference in the world. And so the us in Mustangs reminds me of the possibilities that lie before us, to be a place where selflessness always trumps selfishness, to be a place of sharing and caring and hope and renewal. Passages of Scripture like Acts 2, 42 through 47 paint a picture, I think, of how communities who are built on faith in Jesus and love for one another can really genuinely manifest togetherness in a way that honors God while really focusing on what matters most. And the text there says that they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship and to the breaking of bread and prayer. And everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together. They had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. And every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts, and they broke bread in their homes, and they ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. And that's the us, right? I mean, that's the us. Of course, in Christianity, but in our context, it's the us in Mustangs. It's about walking together through our diverse strengths, through this beautiful tapestry of color and talents and gifts that God has blessed the MCS family with. And so specifically, what does that mean in the context of the annual fund? Well, I think we can be together and saying, you know what, I'm gonna sacrifice a little, and maybe to the point of it even stinging a little bit to just give a little bit extra, or I'm going to reach out to family members and see if they would be willing to come alongside and support Midland Christian School. No gift is too small. I mean, seriously, no gift is too small. If it's $5, well, that $5 given by several people can really start to add up quickly. There are some other creative ways that people can be involved outside of just financially giving. Of course, we want folks to pray. Please pray. Pray for our school every single day. There are also opportunities for us to be in the Word together. And so just that formative experience of walking together in prayer and walking together through Scripture, it can change how we see the world and how we see what's most important. Things like serving. It's a little bit of sweat equity, but it's free other than that sacrifice of time. So whether you're serving as a Mustang mentor, a classroom sponsor, someone who's helping with our teams, whatever it looks like, volunteering time and energy, we absolutely welcome that. One of the greatest things that's free and can really help support Midland Christian School is just a positive attitude. That costs nothing. And so bring that positive attitude to what we do. Are we going to make mistakes? Surely. Absolutely. No organization on the planet is immune from that. Are we going to do some things and think, oh, it would have been better if? Yeah, absolutely. But a positive attitude helps us make those changes and those modifications so much easier because we're able to keep our imagination alive and well, and embedded in that context of positivity versus having to put out brush fires, here and there. That's kind of a draining phenomenon. Practically speaking, things like some gifts in kind. And so if you have a service or a product that can bless the school and you'd like to have a conversation with us about how we might be able to partner with you as you give to the school, via that resource or that product, that would be fantastic. All you have to do is just reach out to our development office. Any kind of gift, whether that's stocks or cash or check or whatever it is. I mean, we're pretty open to it. I'll tell you a very quick, funny story. I made a similar appeal at our church one time, and when we passed the collection plate, someone actually dropped a Rolex watch in the collection plate. I'm not making this up, true story. And so we took that Rolex to a jeweler and sold it and blessed the congregation that way. So hey, if anybody has a Rolex they want to give to the school, we'll do something creative with it, I'm sure. But really just the heart of giving is more important than the how of giving. And so we want to work with people to bless our students any possible way that we can. I feel like we are extremely good stewards of the school's monies. And I think over the next several months, as we really grow in our ability to communicate exactly what we're doing, and people will see an even greater increase in transparency, that the MCS family's confidence in stewarding those resources is going to grow as well.
Absolutely. A couple of things, jump out at me just as you start talking about Mustangs and just over the 8 years that I've been here, the opportunity to be around our community. I just think about the back to school night and that first home football and volleyball game, and just the excitement that there is in the air. And it's not necessarily because the ball's going up. Well, of course we love Friday nights, but
Right.
it's just the opportunity to gather and start to look forward to what God has in store for us, not just here on campus and some of the new additions that we are making and will make in the future. But what stories will we be able to tell about this upcoming school year? And that's really the impetus for this podcast, is to tell the story of Midland Christian School, past, present, future, and to provide an opportunity for many storytellers to do so. So I appreciate you jumping on this first podcast and being part of, hopefully, as many podcasts to come, and a chance to check in with you monthly.